to reiterate the food regulator's position on what has now become the latest controversy. Joining us is the CEO of the Fssai, Pawan Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. I want to start by asking you to reiterate for us here on CNBC TV 18 because a lot of those stocks of those companies that have been named in the CSE report are under pressure today. Is the food regulator going to initiate any kind of action, any kind of inquiry against these companies that have been named by the CSE in its report? Because our understanding is that the current food regulations allow potassium bromate and potassium iodate.
Yes, Shereen, I think I would like to reiterate that there is no cause for any panic either in public or in the shareholders of these companies, because the current position is the Fssai regulations of 2011 allow use of potassium bromate and potassium iodate up to a limit of 50 ppm in bakery and bread. So if some traces of potassium bromate and iodate have been found, then there is nothing wrong with it. In fact, the issue that potassium bromate can have some carcinogenic properties, it came to the attention of, to the knowledge of Fssai in the scientific panel meeting on food additives a few months ago, and after careful consideration of the matter and as a matter of abundant precaution, Fssai has decided to remove it from the list of permissible additives. So,
okay, sir, I'll just interrupt you for 1 second there.
The notification is likely to be issued
shortly. You're saying the notification on removing it from the list of allowed additives will be issued shortly. I'll address that point. I'll address that point in just a second. But you said that a scientific committee of the Fssai decided to look into this matter a couple of months ago. But if I were to just quickly ask you, Mr. Agarwal, because this matter of potassium bromate being a likely carcinogen has been in the makings for several years now. In fact, in 1991, if I remember correctly, it was the International Agency for Research on Cancer that determined that potassium bromate is a possible cancer-causing substance. So given that, why has the food regulator decided to act now? Was there any specific trigger for the Fssai acting on this now?
No, we must understand that potassium bromate is one of the 11,000 food additives, that are allowed in food businesses. Now, when we were reviewing the list of 11,000 food additives and the discussion centered around use of potassium bromate, after careful consideration it was decided that it should be removed from the list of permissible additives, and that was done a couple of months ago. And after that we went in for some further consultation with other stakeholders, and a final view has been taken that it should be removed from the list of food additives.
Okay. Now, when will you issue the notification prescribing that potassium bromate be removed, sir, from the list of additives? And also, what kind of transition period are we talking about? How much time will companies get to comply with your order?
No, as far as the issue of notification is concerned, that will be done by the Ministry of Health, and recommendation of the food authority has been sent to them. So it may take a week or two before the notification is finally issued. And once the notification is issued, I do not see that the food businesses will require much transition time, because there are alternatives that are available and they can immediately start using it.
Has there been any stakeholder consultation? Because a lot of those companies that have been named by CSE have put out statements saying that either they do not use potassium bromate or potassium iodate, or they are in compliance with Fssai regulations, which may mean that they do use both these substances. Has there been any consultation between the Fssai and the industry stakeholders on the transition?
Not really consultation on this particular issue, but the entire list of food additives has been finalized in consultation with the industry bodies and the food businesses. It has gone through a process of consultation at various levels, and as far as affecting this ban is concerned, we are in touch with the industry bodies and to figure out if they require any transition period at all.
Okay, so you're saying that the notification banning potassium bromide will be issued by the Ministry of Health perhaps in a period of about a week or 2 weeks, and if industry comes back seeking some sort of transition time, the FSSAI in consultation with the Health Ministry may look into that, or otherwise the order will be immediate.
Yes, that's right.
Let me now move to potassium iodate, sir, because I understand that the FSSAI scientific panel is continuing to look at the issue of whether or not potassium iodate should be banned or not. Where do things currently stand on that?
I think the evidence around use of potassium iodate as an additive in food products is inconclusive, and we are gathering more evidence around it, whether or not we should ban it. And once we have confirmation around it, final view will be taken by the authority and its recommendations.
By when do you expect your recommendations on potassium iodate to be finalized? Because as of today, you're saying that the report is inconclusive on whether potassium iodate should be removed from the list of additives or not.
I think it may not be proper for me to give any timeline for it, because it is the scientific panel which will take a view in this matter, and if we have been able to gather enough evidence for scientific panel to take a view, is not proper for me to say or suggest.
Okay. Was there any consultation with the Center for Science and Environment? Did the CSE reach out to the FSSAI before putting out the report?
Unfortunately not. In fact, we have got in touch with Center for Science and Environment and congratulated them for doing this work. In fact, we would like to get more inputs from Center of Science and Environment and other such bodies, so that we can not only address this particular issue, but other issues of food safety in a more holistic manner.
Okay, since you're talking about addressing these issues of food safety in a more holistic manner, sir, let me ask you, because we're currently working with the 2011 regulations, but even if you look at the 2011 regulations, they don't seem to be in alignment with the global standards, because this potassium bromide at least has been banned by the UK, has been banned by Canada, China, Brazil, the European Union. The US does allow it. The US FDA does approve the use up to 75 parts per million in flour, for instance. But do you think there is a need for a much more dynamic periodic review for a lot of these standards that we use in India?
No, you're right, Shereen, because the process of setting food standards is a continuing and a process of improvement. As we get more evidence, we set new standards. And what other countries follow need not necessarily be followed in India, because we have to see the primary production systems of food grains and other food materials in India and set standards in the Indian context. But in many such cases, yes, it is possible and perhaps desirable to adopt international standards.
You've made a lot of changes since you came into the FSSAI, Mr. Agarwal. Let me ask you a separate question now, because you've brought in separate regulations now, specifically for another controversial category, and that's the noodle category. What more can we expect on that front? And do you believe that with these new regulations in place, you have, in a sense, allayed a lot of the concerns and the controversy surrounding that particular category?
We do hope that by bringing in more clarity in terms of standards and process of testing of various contaminants in noodle category will bring in greater clarity and enforcement around that.
Okay. Speaking of other standards that you're hoping to upgrade, you're hoping to do pretty much the same as far as the milk category is concerned, where a review has been much needed. What can we expect now as far as the overhaul on the milk side is concerned, sir, when it comes to safety and compliance?
No, milk is a real challenge for the authority because of the challenges in production and supply chain of milk and milk products. And for the time being, we are taking up a national survey on milk, which will be launched very, very soon. To get an exact status of the concerns around milk. We are also reviewing milk and milk products standards that should be put in place very soon.
Mr. Agarwal, let me just revert back now to the current controversy, and that has to do with what the CSE has found in bread, potassium bromate and potassium iodate. So you're basically saying that at this point in time, no action will be taken against any companies, so investors and shareholders don't need to be concerned. But yes, potassium bromate now stands to be removed. A notification to that effect will be expected in about a week or 2 weeks' time.
Yes, that's right.
All right, Mr. Agarwal, we will leave it there. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Thank you very much for your time. That is the CEO of Fssai, Pawan Agarwal, taking us through what the food regulator makes of the current controversy on the back of the CSE report.